Now back to Tell Me Everything on Sirius XM Progress 127.
This is Sirius XM Progress. I'm John Fugelsang. We are at 866-997-4748. So media is reporting that Donald Trump was so mad that Greg Kelly on Newsmax said that Pete Hegseth should drop out because Pete Hegseth is a blackout drunk who abuses women, and that DeSantis should be the Secretary of Defense. Donald Trump was so angry. Mediaite reports he called the CEO of Newsmax, Chris Ruddy, who then flipped out and ordered all the hosts on the channel to say nothing but positive things about Hegseth from now on, because they're a news channel, and no one is allowed to ever criticize anything that their ruler likes. It's a cult. For more, let's go to the man whose cult I would join any day. Keith Price is one of the sharpest guys in the game, and I am a lifelong fan. Keith, of course, was the first openly black gay radio host at Sirius XM. He co-anchored the morning show on the late lamented channel OutQ. Catch his wonderful Broadway-focused Instagram, Keith Price's Curtain Call. And I'm going to talk about some Broadway musicals with this man tonight. Keith Price,
Yes.
Welcome back.
Hello, my darling John. How are you, lover?
I'll tell you, there's a lot I want to talk about, and as long as I'm going to be wading into show tunes, let me pull my gay card even more than I should. Let me whip it out.
Okay.
Keith, we have to have a conversation about people who are crushing on Luigi Mangione. We have to have a conversation. I understand he's really hot and has great abs, but he's a murderer who shot people in the back. Keith, explain to me he's not that hot, right?
Well, you know what? I mean, again, if I didn't know of that whole possibility of him being a murderer thing, he could totally get it. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
he
Let's
could have
factor that
gotten
in, Keith. Let's
right.
factor that in, Keith, which so many people online are not. This incredibly hot-looking 26-year-old who's very smart, has a great education, and murders people by shooting them in the back. I guess I can see the moral appeal for people who hate health insurance companies, but whoa.
But I mean, this is just a really interesting conversation. It's like, we are talking about that whole eat the rich thing. The people are getting sick of the rich. They're getting sick of how people are becoming rich. They're sick of how they're becoming rich over the fact that people are dying, literally dying.
Yeah.
It is a lot to take in, and it is interesting because, would it have been better for him to have had a conversation with the CEO about, the possibilities of discussing why AI is being used to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, why they can have a conversation about it. However, I don't believe that at the end of the conversation, there's going to be any kind of resolution that will be satisfactory to both parties. So sometimes, things got to get uglier before
I know, and I've been saying I hope that some good Democrats will listen to this message that people can't stand how this insurance industry is so cruel. You don't need to like the violence to understand that there's a big popular sentiment and our healthcare access system sucks. Keith, to me, I'm blown away. This happens the same day they get this guy, the same day, because this guy killed a man who kills lots of people. United Healthcare kills lots of people, but they make a profit. So when they get murdered, there's a lot of cops show up to find out who did it. And there's a $50,000 reward when you're an important person who kills lots of people for profit. But this same day, Daniel Penny, who killed an unarmed, homeless, mentally ill black man, was set free. And this is what we saw in one day. The guy who killed a powerful white man is going away forever. The guy who killed an inconvenient, mentally ill homeless person, he gets to walk.
He gets to walk, and it's the state of America. Again, you're asking me to look at the inequities that we see every day. I see it every day, and I get so tired of having to explain it to people and having to try to get them to understand that the inequities, yes, it looks black and white to some degree, but in the end, it is just about human being over human being. Like, this is fucked up. Like, how is this humanly possible? It's like, yes, the guy who shot this man should be punished to whatever the extent of the law is, because that was cold-blooded murder. And what this guy did, now granted, he may not have intended to kill him. He might have intended to only subdue him, but in the world of, involuntary manslaughter, at the minimum, that to me would have been a conversation that someone should have had instead of just straight up homicide. Because again, I would assume that his intention was not to kill this person. Therefore, you could go that route. Unfortunately, the person wound up dying, which is technically manslaughter. You did it.
Yeah.
You may
Yeah.
not have intended to do it, but you certainly are responsible for it. And so the
Yeah.
fact that now even that you can't even explore it from that aspect anymore
I
because
know.
because of double jeopardy. So, lucky for him, I guess. Maybe the court system bankrupted him, so at least financially he's feeling something from this.
Oh,
But
I'm sure he's gotten lots of donations, Keith. This guy's GoFundMe is probably
absolutely,
flush with Fox News viewers, and I look
you
forward to
know,
seeing what
and
position in Donald Trump's cabinet he's offered. Because
yeah,
that's
I mean,
next.
he's going to be
This guy's
standing
coming on
next.
stage at a rally.
Him and Byron Rittenhouse are going to be standing next to each other.
Exactly.
Hi, we've murdered black people, or we've murdered people, and look, we're still here. I again, like I said,
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to take for Americans to get mad enough to I clearly, shooting somebody in the back of the head is kind of that's really angry. But
Yeah.
if we can find a way to be somewhat less angry, to be able to have the conversations. I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's like these people are, I'm loving that the fuck around and find out people are having a field day when they're finding out that Obamacare is the same thing as the Affordable Care Act. And I was voting to make sure we got rid of Obamacare. I well, why they have two different names for the same thing? It's because you're an idiot and you didn't bother to try to read a fucking piece of paper, a pamphlet. You
It's
chose to
beautiful.
just cash out because you just
Beautiful.
heard Obamacare. So now you are going to be fucked. The rest of us were already fucked coming into this situation, but you now, sir, with your Samuel Leghorn accents carrying on, you now are going to be part of the suffering group. And you cannot blame black people. And you're not going to blame
Mm.
the immigrants. You got to just
Sure they
blame
can.
horrible racist ass for doing that.
No.
And now,
They'll always,
because you're
they'll never. Don't take away their dream of blame. Don't take away their dream of blame. Keith,
well, you know
I
what?
want to
Why
I want
should
to
we
let
send them
our audience
mad?
weigh in on this. We're at 866-997-4748. Reverend Sandy is on line one. Reverend Sandy, I'm